Good evening and thank you for joining us on Majo television. I am Comfort Osinnaike. Here are the largest breaking stories making headlines around the world, across Africa, Nigeria, Lagos, and here in Ondo State. Let's take the headlines. President Trump condemns Israeli strike in Qatar. U.S. ends international push to combat fake news from hostile states. Ethiopia inaugurates Africa's largest hydroelectric dam as neighbors high power imports. South Africa sent trade delegation to DC to seek lower tariff. New tax law deferred to 2026 as cost mounts for citizens. ADC demands forensic audits of INEC's voter registration data. Fuel scarcity in Ondo amid prolonged petroleum workers' strike. Oworonshoki demolition protests. The news in detail. First, we'll take from the United States. According to White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, President Trump, upon learning of Israel's plans, instructed a special envoy, Steve Whitford, to alert Qatari authorities of the impending attack. However, the warning reportedly came too late to prevent the strike. Leavitt described the strike as an unfortunate incident and emphasized that bombing a sovereign U.S. ally like Qatar does not advance Israel or Americans' goal.
Regarding the Israeli strike in Doha, how much time or how much of a heads up did the U.S. get, and does the president support the strike?
Sure. Well, I have a statement to read for all of you with respect to the Israeli strike in Doha, and here it is. This morning, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that as Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. President Trump immediately directed Special Envoy Witkoff to inform the Qataris of the impending attack, which he did. The president views Qatar as a strong ally and friend of the United States and feels very badly about the location of this attack. President Trump wants all of the hostages in Gaza and the bodies of the dead released, and this war to end now. President Trump also spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu after the attack. The Prime Minister told President Trump that he wants to make peace, and quickly. President Trump believes this unfortunate incident could serve as an opportunity for peace. The president also spoke to the Emir and Prime Minister of Qatar and thanked them for their support and friendship to our country. He assured them that such a thing will not happen again on their soil.
Though the administration still views targeting Hamas as necessary, Trump also reached out directly to both Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and Qatar's Emir to reassure the latter that such an incident would not be repeated. Meanwhile, President Trump has voiced his dissatisfaction with attack, saying he was very unhappy about how the operation unfolded on his social media.
Well, I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled about it. I don't have to do that. I'm not thrilled about the whole situation. It's not a good situation. But I will say this, we want the hostages back. But we are not thrilled about the way that went down today.
You were caught by surprise.
I'm never surprised by anything, especially when it comes to the Middle East.
I condemn the strikes that Israel carried out in Doha yesterday. They violate Qatar's sovereignty. They do nothing to secure the peace that the UK and so many of our allies are committed to. I spoke to the Emir of Qatar last night, soon after the attack, to convey our support and solidarity. He was crystal clear that notwithstanding the attacks, He will continue to work on a diplomatic solution.
He underscored that the decision was made by Netanyahu alone and not by him. He also reiterated that targeting Hamas, a group profiting from Gaza's suffering, is a worthy goal. Though he expressed regret over the strike's execution, Trump stopped short of condemning Israel outright, instead portraying the incident as a diplomatic misalignment. Still in the U.S., the U.S. government has taken a dramatic step back in the global fight against disinformation. Washington has officially pulled out of an international coalition designed to counter hostile propaganda campaigns by countries like Russia, China, and Iran. The initiative, which had been anchored by the State Department's Global Engagement Center, once brought together more than 20 nations to share intelligence and strategies against fake news. Critics of the move, including former diplomats, say dismantling this infrastructure at a time when artificial intelligence tools are being weaponized to spread falsehood leaves America and its allies more vulnerable than ever. Supporters of the decision, however, argue that the program had grown ineffective and in some cases even stifled free speech. The development has ignited fresh debates about how nations should prepare for the evolving challenges of information warfare in the 21st century. Turning now to Africa, Ethiopia is celebrating a historic milestone. After years of construction and international scrutiny, the country has inaugurated the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, better known as GERD, towering 170 meters high and stretching nearly 2 kilometers across the Blue Nile. The dam is now the largest hydroelectric facility on the continent, with an output capacity of more than 5,000 megawatts. It will more than double Ethiopia's current electricity supply and position the country as a power exporter across East Africa.
On Ethiopia's western frontier, where the Blue Nile cuts towards Sudan, rises one of Africa's most audacious feats of engineering, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, a hydroelectric power generation giant carved into the river's path. Designed to be the largest on the continent, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is Ethiopia's boldest attempt yet to harness the potential of the Nile's waters and use that to power its economy. This colossal gravity dam is built of roller-compacted concrete, anchored by 2 powerhouses, 3 spillways, and a vast saddle dam. Its main wall towers 145 meters into the sky and stretches 1.7 kilometers across, a structure that has cost more than $4.8 billion. But that cost was not borne by foreign creditors. It was carried by the hands of Ethiopians themselves, ordinary citizens, public servants, and diaspora communities who bought bonds and pooled their resources to transform a national dream into reality. Construction began in 2011. At its heart, the project was simple yet transformative: to light up a nation where electricity remains scarce. Yet, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is more than just concrete and steel. It's a statement of sovereignty, of self-reliance, and national pride. Once fully operational, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam will unleash more than 6,000 megawatts of power, enough to electrify Ethiopia and power its neighbors. It promises energy independence, rural electrification, and industrial growth. For the region, this means cheaper power, deeper integration, and another step towards Africa's collective energy freedom. Beyond electricity generation, GAD will also boost the amount of water available for irrigation, sustaining millions of farmers in Ethiopia and beyond. Yet, this monument to progress has stirred controversy. Egypt and Sudan fear the dam could affect their water security. They worry that their share of water from the Nile could drop. But other nations in the region see in the dam an opportunity, a catalyst for cooperation and shared prosperity.
The project, which cost nearly $5 billion, was overwhelmingly financed domestically, with more than 90% of the fund raised through citizen contributions and government bonds. A point of immense pride for Ethiopia. However, the fanfare comes amid ongoing tensions with Egypt and Sudan, both of whom fear reduced water flows and accuse Addis Ababa of ignoring historic treaties governing Nile water usage. Diplomats warn the dam could reshape geopolitics in the region for decades to come. In South Africa, the government of President Cyril Ramaphosa has dispatched a highly level delegation of trade and foreign affairs officials to the United States in a bid to ease mounting tensions over new tariff. U.S. authorities recently imposed duties of up to 30% on key South Africa exports, including critical minerals. Pretoria is pushing for negotiations that will not only lower tariffs, but also encourage the U.S. to import more value-added finished goods rather than raw materials. South Africa argues that without fairer terms, entire industries could face collapse, threatening jobs and economic stability. Analysts say the talks will test Pretoria diplomatic agility at a time when global trade relations are increasingly shaped by competition with China. Here in Nigeria, the federal government has bowed to pressure on taxation. Finance Minister Wale Edu announced that the controversial new tax law, initially scheduled to take effect in October 2025, has been postponed to January 2026.
Let me re-emphasize and underscore the following. The tax reform bills and the Tax Act will not become operational until 2026, January 1, 2026. And the 5% fuel surcharge, which is mentioned therein, will not automatically come into effect. And as of today, no order has been issued, none is being prepared, and there is no plan. There is no immediate plan to implement any surcharge.
The bill included a 5% fuel surcharge, but critics argued it would worsen the hardship already faced by citizens grappling with subsidy removal, inflation, and naira depreciation. Officials say the delay will allow more time for economic adjustments and for cushioning measures to be put in place. Still, business leaders and civil society groups warn that unless the broader constructural issues are addressed, the eventual implementation could reignite public anger. Meanwhile, the African Democratic Congress, ADC, has accused the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, of releasing voter data that it says defiles strategic logic. According to the figures, Osun State alone recorded nearly 400,000 new registrations in a single week. Numbers the opposition insists are implausible. The ADC is demanding a full forensic audit, including server logic and bandwidth records, before the 2027 general elections. INEC, however, maintains that the numbers reflect genuine population shift and youth mobilization, and it has denied any wrongdoing with the stakes high. Elections integrity is once again under the spotlight. In Lagos, protesters obstructed the inbound lane of the third mainland bridge in Lagos. After the state government demolished houses in Osinnaike allegedly without adequate notice or compensation, causing severe traffic congestion. Bulldozers and rapid response squad operatives initiated a demolition operation at around 2 a.m. in Ojuleru within Osinnaike. Families were allegedly evicted without warning, leaving many homeless and prompting condemnation from leaders who denounce the action as inhuman. The Owo Youth Forum decried the demolition, particularly because it occurred while residents were asleep, and accused the government of displacing poor people for the benefit of elites planning to convert the area into an exclusive residential estate. While demonstrators took to the streets holding placards and chanting slogans such as "We say no to land grabbing," demanding an end to demolition and voicing anger over what they perceive as the long-standing coordinated attacks on their communities. The residents under the Hope and Seaflow Estate sent a formal appeal to the Lagos State government calling for cessation of demolitions, fair compensation, and structured resettlement plans. They emphasized that their land had been acquired legally and urged inclusive urban development. Finally, here in Ondo State, residents of Akure and surrounding towns are facing severe shortages as the strike by the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers continues into second week. Long queues snake around filling stations, many of which have run completely dry. Transport fares are soaring, businesses are struggling to keep generators running, and daily life has been thrown into the rain. The state government is reportedly in talks with federal authorities and union leaders, but so far, no breakthrough has been announced. Citizens are calling for urgent intervention to restore stability and ease the suffering. And that was the news on Majo Television. Thank you for watching. I am Comfort Osinnaike.